Right.
Someone standing in front of the camera.
I'd love to get on again.
I definitely want Dyandria because she's got a show here, and then Joe.
This may come out a bit disjointed. My concern for anybody that watches this movie is that they have to come to it with an open mind. And I've sent quite a few people to see the movie and have been very surprised to hear them walk out and say, oh, most of it's bullshit.
Is it people saying that here or other places?
No, I'm saying I've told other people to go see the movie. I mean, I've seen it about 3 or 4 times. And it's changed my life. And I recommended it to other people, and they would go see the movie and say, dismiss it practically.
Right.
And is the world ready? No, maybe this much of it. If you don't go to it with an open mind, you're not going to get anything from it.
You mean, is the world ready to create a new reality or reality? But the thing is, we're always creating. So even people who didn't like the movie, it doesn't really make any difference, does it? And even if you actually gung-ho and you're believing in the movie, but you're not really changing yourself, that's not good. I mean, you know, if there is something, if there is a remarkable unknown, something that we have to prepare ourselves for, otherwise we miss, then it seems as though believing in the movie and liking the movie doesn't necessarily help that, nor does not liking the movie prevent that. It's just if it's a helpful concept to be able to prepare or to comprehend something. Like, say, I've seen, you know, Joe Friendly's show is showing such provocative information that some people think it is jeopardizing public access, that there's such important material that is going to shake existing systems. And yet, if you really comprehend how you change within yourself and how to treat that, and to know that you're connected with everything else, there is no enemy, or there is even no out there that's not in here. So I'm thinking it's not really if the world's ready or not, just when we feel.
The movie itself is something that can change people's lives.
I mean, when you say the world's ready, are they ready to pay for it? Because people have told them you're crazy to spend $5 million.
The movie has something to offer that can change people's lives. I know from experience and what I've taken from the movie and used it. Every time I've come to see the movie, they've discussed in the beginning, have you ever seen yourself through the eyes of someone you've become? It's happened repeatedly. I was thinking today about the subject of someone changing. When someone stands there and says, I've changed, maybe that's not true because we're always changing. One can say, I'm changing. It's an ongoing process. But if someone can sit down with this much information being offered to them and walk away with nothing, I guess you could say they're not ready. But it's so unfortunate because the movie is sitting right there and illustrating to you why most likely you are not able to extract information from the movie because you have chemical addictions, because you are addicted to your thought processes, and it is not allowing you to take in new information.
You know, the addiction thing is so profound. I was looking at some spiritual series that was done in somewhere in Connecticut, and they had a whole about 20 minutes of etchings and explanations of the methods of torture used in the Inquisition. And as I sat there and watched this horrendous material, I got to thinking that there is a mechanism going there, that if we can understand this non-emotionally, but just through these models of addiction, we can see how people in power would be going to these lengths. I mean, the explanation was that it was a way of getting property from people. That's why they did all these tortures and why the Inquisition happened. But what's useful about using these models, because it is in our historical memory, is to give us a more useful understanding of what goes on today. So I'm hoping in my shows to come that I'm going to show this 20-minute section and show the people who are spiritual, social activists to say, look, just because we're studying spirituality doesn't mean we're all airy-fairy and only thinking about, you know, positive thinking. What Michal was saying, if it's on a layer, if it's a thin layer of positive thinking on a whole mass of negative thinking, what is the science and the technology that we need to unlayer all of that negative thinking? So I just encourage you to not be discouraged by the people walking away from the film. I think we have a lot to learn from them too. Do you want to keep moderate?
I just wanted to say Happy Halloween, everyone. And
You're not really a nurse, you're saying?
yeah.
Okay, I thought maybe you were here for emergency, in case people, it was too much for some. I think this guy was overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you.
This is my fourth time seeing this film, and this is my fourth time, and I learn something every time, and I'd just like to encourage everyone here and everyone who sees it at all to at least get your friends to watch it, and if they only take away one little tiny piece, it's a seed, and it'll grow. And I had a whole bunch of other things that I wanted
What
to
did you
say.
learn this time that you saw it this time?
This time I was able to pass up Joe Friendly's cookies because that's my addiction. So,
But what did you learn from the movie?
it's actually really hard to put into words. I did have something I wanted to say specifically to the filmmakers, which is I'd love to see a part 2 of this. That would be really wonderful.
They are putting out part 2 and they're interviewing different people. Yeah, you had a comment?
Oh, wow, that's great. 4 DVD set. Excellent.
Yeah, oh, come on up, come on up.
Can that woman sit down that's standing in front of the camera?
Yeah,
Thanks.
thanks. Yes, your name is, we should have gotten people's names, but your name is?
Fernando.
Fernando.
Yes.
You from Colombia?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, you must be a psychic.
No,
Or somebody told
I
you
could.
that.
I could be a psychic.
No, you are a psychic.
Okay, I'm a psychic.
Okay.
We're all psychic.
We're all psychics. Thank you.
And, okay, this is the first time you've seen the movie.
No, I've seen it a couple of times already.
So go ahead, tell
Yes.
people what you felt.
Well, I definitely, recommend the movie. It's very well done. No scientist really knows what they're saying as far as the science is concerned. Now, somebody mentioned the movie should be, they should do a part 2 of the movie, and I definitely agree with that. My only comment would be if they do a part 2, and I think you say they're already working on it,
Yeah, that's what I heard.
they should bring a spiritual leader like Dalai Lama, for instance, or Sister Wendy, to incorporate that into what these people are saying.
Well, Ramtha is a spiritual. He's the only non-sign. That woman, the blonde woman, is actually channeling, like Paula said, this 35,000-year-old ascended spiritual leader. So that's one aspect of spirituality.
I would highly recommend, if the producers get to see what we're saying, that they should bring Sister Wendy into it, and they should bring Dalai Lama, and then do a part 2 of the same movie with those two in it.
But I disagree in the sense that this movie is about doing away with religion. In a sense, it's like let's use quantum science as a new way of observing reality instead of going back to the old dogmas. Let's
Right.
create something new.
But you know what? If you know who Sister Wendy is,
I know who she is. I've
right,
seen her.
you'll notice that she is such an enlightened person that you definitely be open to what these people are saying.
But the Dalai Lama, Sister Wendy, they're still attached to religion. They're still attached to an old form. Let's just call them people. Don't call them Sister Wendy. Don't call them the Dalai Lama.
Right.
You want to say something?
Well, this is a pretty, hello, is this working?
Yes, it's on.
This-
It's recording.
Okay. This topic of religion,
Right.
with my discussions with Dr. Ledwith, that we had done 5 years ago, so it was a couple years before the movie was made, he goes into very great detail on this area of an authority.
Right.
See, what I like about nonviolent communication is it's non-authority based communication. So what you're relaying is information, not labels. So it's not someone who has accomplished something more. And we even discuss the miracles. For example, Jesus Christ came to help us overcome our biggest fear, which was the fear of death.
Right.
And he did this through the resurrection,
Right.
to show that the body could be raised after death.
True.
So once that was seen, the big problem then became that we would worship him and not do as he did. And that's a pretty big problem, that we would not see a way trodden that we can then tread. Like right here, we're just speaking as equals. We're sharing. We've seen a movie. It's provoked some thought.
Oh, yeah.
And then we're seeing if we can come together. And again, in the case of Manhattan Neighborhood Network, without a big budget behind it, it's alternative media. These little shows are done just by people working their jobs, and then they volunteer to get this together at night.
Right.
It's very difficult, but not impossible.
Okay. I don't
With
want to take a lot of
non-authority
time,
to
'cause I know that people want-
connect.
Right. I do agree with what you're saying.
So we don't need a Dalai Lama. We don't need any
But let me just
special.
add, it's what I think, it's the power of your own personal experience that this movie is talking about. He says there's nothing out there independent of what's in here. It's that we create the world out here. So reality, new realities depend on our personal experience, not on authority.
I definitely agree with that. All I want to say before I go back to my seat to conclude is I do recommend the movie. It's very well done. I've seen it a couple of times. I'm looking forward to see it again and again and again. Every time I see it, I learn something new and reinforce what I already know, which is very positive. Now, all I want to say is if they do a part 2, I think it'll be interesting to see and challenging for all the viewers to see, again, all these great scientists explaining all these facts. Now, with the comments of somebody like Sister Wendy and Dalai Lama, I don't think it would hurt. I said it would be more challenging and it would be more enlightened to see, because I'm sure Sister Wendy and Dalai Lama will be open-minded enough to agree with what these people are saying. But I'm sure these people should agree and give this the opportunity to people like Sister Wendy and Dalai Lama to say what they have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for your comments. Did anyone else, anyone who hasn't talked yet, want to say something? Okay, Jacob, and then you. George, you want to talk to?
Yeah. See, we're hooked on this whole thing of reality. Right, but reality may be an illusion.
Well, it is an
Whether
illusion.
you keep changing it, right, doesn't matter. It's still another illusion. Right?
That's true.
Now we're asking what happens. I'm asking what happens when reality comes to an end.
Well, do you always
Is
have
there something else?
Isn't that just something?
Which is not a reality. No, wait, it's not a reality. Reality is invented by thought.
Okay.
Right. So as long as thought is operating, there's reality. Right. Now, what happens when thought comes to an end? Reality comes to an end, then what happens?
I think that reality is not based on thought. I think it's based on experience.
You're already dead.
Without thinking, you have a reality.
Experience is the reality. Right.
Experience without thought, which is being totally present in the moment. That's what I think transcends the thought-created reality. Actually, thought removes you from reality. Experience, being analogical in the moment, is, in truth, the way of being present all places, and that's a transcendent reality.
Which is beyond thought.
Beyond thought.
That means beyond experience.
Beyond
it's the end of experience.
Everything is experience.
And it's the end of the experiencer. It's the end of everything, right?
Well,
look,
I don't know. It's just philosophical.
Can we find out, before we leave the studio tonight, if it's possible to be completely and totally free?
By integrating them emotionally. Whole brain, whole body, stopping the blocking off of greatly painful feelings that most of us have had, especially in early childhood. Stop the blocking of them. Stop all of the energy that we're using to quell them, and use the energy of our minds in a much more complete and integrated way with all of its capacities, the logical and the intuitive and the every part of our intelligence.
That's what the film was talking about the addiction to the emotion. The way to get over the addiction, as I see it, is to just witness it. Be the observer. Let those feelings of anger or sadness, frustration come up, but don't engage them and don't deny them.
That's not the way I see it.
How do you see it? How do you see it?
What I've learned with Janov's and others primal therapy. I'm a member of the International Primal Association.
Okay.
Is that taking and something that triggers pain, emotional pain, or emotional pleasure, taking it to its source all the way. For instance, Janov, he's not the only one, has 3-week intensives where people live the feelings. You don't get your 45-minute bullshit hour, pardon me. That's what I feel about people who call it that. Or your 50-minute hour. The sessions are 2.5 and 3 hours, because once people get started in their feelings, they come to points where they have to stop and breathe and rest and come to their quiet insights, and then they get their second breath and they go deeper and they go back to catastrophically painful stuff in childhood, in birth. People have claimed past life, some measure past life regression that way.
Does that heal it for them going back? I mean, it does.
Major healings.
Okay,
Major healings.
I
Read
believe that.
Janov's work, Arthur Janov, PhD, and there's several other people.
Yeah, it makes sense. You're owning the experience you have.
It's a small number of the population who are really into this, and it really was. It was big in the 70s.
Thanks. We want to move it back a little bit to the public access producers.
All right.
But thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
And, yeah, get your show on. Okay. I just wanted, Dyandria, would you like to say something? Or can I introduce you? I was learning how to use the Express Studio, and at the end of my session, someone came in and I said, "Can I sit here and watch you?" And he was very gracious, and it turned out to be a show called Jewish World. And a few people started to come in there, and this lady was in there, and I sat there and had a spiritual experience just listening to this show, talking about Holocaust victims not getting their rights. And afterwards, this beautiful voice and presence, I found out had been in prison for 3 years. So she told me that a book was given to her by someone called Conversations with God, and we proceeded to have a really nice connection. And I'm so glad you came here, and I'm so eager to hear what you have to say, how it affected you.
Thank you, Paul, and it's good to see you again.
Yeah.
My name is Dyandria, and I found this this film to be riveting. I had no idea. Somebody here had mentioned that we all knew what we were coming to see, and I really didn't know. But it was riveting. And I'll say it for myself. As a child, I never went with the grain.